because we don't want them to get hurt or anything because they breathe through their skin.
Let me see, Char.
So you've got a 4 to 6 year old, or 4 to 6 week old, and that one is about 2 weeks old, the one you have in your hand. So these are our baby worms after they've all been released.
Hey everybody, it's Mikayla from the Borders Bunch, and a few weeks ago we went to the Arizona worm farm to buy worms for our amazing new garden. Turns out they were giving a tour, and we jumped right in. After the tour, we bought our worms, and one of the worms contained in that bag was Jimmy. Hope you like the video.
Mesh. We feed on top. The worms poop, and the poop moves down.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so this is what's coming up here in about 3 minutes. So, we'll find out. What's your name? Mikayla, will you go stand at the end of this trommel? Facing me, okay? And in a minute, on your right side, so you got a little tray on your right side. I'm gonna ask you to pick that up, okay? Okay, so while Mikayla's guarding our worms, this is the gentler, we have 3 screens on the farm. I'm gonna show you 2 of them. We take those mortar trays and we put the mortar trays in here. This is an 8-inch screen. And mostly what comes out of that, I didn't mention is water from these, but mostly what comes out of that is pure worm castings. I'll let you touch some a little bit later. What comes out of this 1/4-inch screen is the cocoons, and the material from that go into those grow out bins and becomes the thing that you want. Okay, so Mikayla, you ready? Let's just get that last bit down. Okay, grab that brown tray. What's in there?
Lots of worms.
Right, so that's the process. Okay, so, you ready?
Awesome.
What's your name?
Amelia.
Say it again.
Amelia.
Amelia? Okay. You want to hold some worms? 2 hands.
Come on.
Like good hands, like Allstate. Okay, Mom, that's your wow.
Oh, it's
Charlie, are you gonna hold some too? Oh my gosh,
So,
Mikayla.
I'm gonna give you some when she's done.
Mikayla.
awesome.
Just give you half because you have little hands.
Charlie, let me see. Oh man.
So this is how we screen the worms. This is a gentle screening process. We think we lose less than 5% of the worms through this process. Buy worms, we sell worms 2 different ways. We sell them like this by the pound, which frankly we don't recommend, and we sell them in what we call a bed run bag, which gives you a whole bag of their natural habitat and has all the inoculants and things that they want. So he wants to go home with you.
No freebies. No worm smuggling. Wow.
Okay, so we're gonna put these back into this bucket and we're gonna move on. Anybody else want a handful that didn't get it? Didn't get a chance? Everybody got a chance? Okay.
Go, Charlie.
Perfect. Perfect. We're going to feed our hens, for those of you that want to make that walk, black soldier flies. I originally started raising red wigglers because I wanted chicken eggs. Because a chicken is the perfect sustainable animal. You get a hen, they'll lay eggs for 3 or 4 years, then you hatch a couple of the eggs and you get 3 more and you still have soup. But hens, we're growing alfalfa and omega-3 grasses for hens to eat, but you also need a protein source. So I thought worms would be a protein source. Turns out a chicken will eat 100 worms a day, and we couldn't breed them fast enough, so we started growing black soldier flies, which I'm going to show you when we get out there, but just the black soldier flies are in this house, and we can grow, so Mia's in charge of this, but we grow 10, 15 pounds a day.
Yeah.
Out of this little space. Okay, so that's a random fact. This is my favorite way to keep worms. This is set it and forget it bed. In ground or raised beds. This no fertilizer, no herbicides, no pesticides, no chemicals of any kind. What we do is we put our garbage, green waste and brown waste, into a compost bin that we set in the center of this. This one was just loaded yesterday. It doesn't usually look quite this messy. But we put the compost in the bin, and in here are lots and lots of worms.
Whoa.
And those, you want to hold them?
Again.
Okay. Now these, because these have been around so long,
Dig for worms.
those have names. So, what's your sister's name?
Mikayla.
That's,
This is Charlie.
oh, that's Charlie right there. You got that one. That one's Mikayla. Okay.
Don't squish each other.
Here's the cool thing about this. So, you guys hold on to those. I'm going to move over to this side just because there's an open area in here. Worms don't have teeth. They won't eat your carrots or your radishes. They won't eat anything until it dies. Because we've had them in this box, when we move out into the outer areas, this is what we're going to find. We're going to find worms in the mix, right? So the worms will eat anything that dies. They'll turn it back into the fertilizer that the plants need to grow. The very best compost comes out of your own yard, because the things that the material that grew is exactly what those plants need to continue to grow. And so by just continuing that cycle, it works really, really well. Okay, ladies, the worms get to go home because they won't stay with you, and we're gonna move on.
I'm Mikayla.
Just dump them.
Do the worms have a complete life cycle in the bed
100%.
where they live and die and breed and everything?
100%.
Don't have to be added to or subtracted.
I've never added worms. This has been here almost 3 years. Dug down 6 inches, put a layer of cardboard on the bottom, and then we just add greens and browns. Layer greens, layers of browns. I live in this little house right here, and I have one of these right outside the front door. And so every day, done with whatever salad I didn't finish, whatever I cleaned out goes into that bin. The worms eat it, and then I can continue to grow stuff there nonstop. So, zero waste, which is one of our goals.
Probably like 1,000 worms. Billion. No. Trillion.
Okay. So, that process over there was for breeding. It's really just designed to produce the maximum number of worms. This process is for castings production, and it's designed to be the most efficient from a production standpoint. So the front, we add an inch of food waste to the front of this every single week, and the worms will follow that food. So if I reach in and grab here, you'll see that there's lots and lots of worms, and those worms will follow the food. If you want to touch worms, you need to go on that side. And if you just reach in and grab a handful.
How do they sense where the food is?
So worms don't have brains. They have sensors that look for microbial activity and light. And the sensors for the light will keep them in the ground and away from danger, and the food stuff they'll sense. But they're like 14-year-old boys with Nintendo. They'll move an inch or two, and if you give them food, not beyond that. And so we move them an inch a week. And oh, don't get me started, because it's you know what they call it when everybody finally has worms? Global worming. So they'll follow the food, and they'll eat all the organic material, and they'll move across the face of this. We give them an inch of food waste, and they compress it down to about 1/4 inch of poop. We then harvest from the backside of this wedge, and what you'll see here is as close to pure worm poop as we can get. What do you not see?
Worms.
Exactly. The worms will move completely away from this, so that in the harvesting process, which I'm going to show you right now, we get very few worms, because the process I'm going to show you is a little more active. Questions about this? This is, if you have the space,
Charlie.
super easy to
back.
do. What I want you to do when I tell you is just grab a shovel full of this, put it up high on there. Okay. All right. So this is how we screen castings. Go. Okay, another one more. done is we've taken a wedge off the back of our worm wedges. Take 4, 5, 6 inches when it's ready. Put them in these wagons overnight to dry out a little bit because they screen better when they're a little bit dry. We separate out the material that hasn't completely composted from what is as close to pure worm poop as we can get. This is what you want worm castings to look like. It looks to me a little bit like dirt, but there's no native soil in this. This is just composted food waste that's been run through a worm. There's a green bin behind you, so if you want to touch it, you're welcome to reach in and grab a handful. When you get really dark black stuff in Costco in that plastic bag, it's turned anaerobic. So if you get really, really black castings, you're getting the chemical, the NPK, that stays. It's a biology can't live in that environment. So that's why that only commercial you get here. That's why you should buy fresh, active castings.
Disgusting.
These have the biologically active with the microbes that will be
Charlie, that's enough. It's all worm poop.
In the castings, they
your garden looks like at home?
Oh my gosh, how cute. They all come running over. How funny.
Just give me a second. Let's follow me in. And then we want you to all come in and you guys can help people.
Right. Everyone just kind of file in and I'll close the door right after you.
So these are the black soldier fly larvae that we raise here on the farm. You can see what they look like. If you wanted to, if you take a handful, they'll come get you. Now, chickens don't have teeth, but they do peck. So if you don't like the way it feels, just drop them. They're alive. They're alive. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Want a handful, Mom?
Mikayla, can I see? Come over here and let me see.
Chickens love
Come here.
I bet they do.
Oh, that feels so weird. These are alive?
Yeah.
Hold on, put your hand straight so I can... Oh, God. Wait, let me see. Oh,
produces 500 eggs. So we can reproduce them by taking 95% of their larvae and feeding them to the hens.
Don't touch them, Mikayla.
5% to reproduce themselves. And, Mia can tell you exactly how it's done. She takes care of this for us. But it's a process that works remarkably well. We have about 100 hens that produce about 60 eggs a day. They live on this material. The coop has a mesh bottom, and we're going to wander over there right now and take a look at that.
Charlie, that's enough, babe.
That's correct. Easy.
Oh, gosh.
So if you come over here, coop has a mesh bottom. Here's the thing we want you to do. Take a deep breath in. You ever been in a commercial factory farm? Yes, they do. Not even giving you credit for that. The way this process works, they'll poop directly onto the fields. That fertilizes these fields. These fields have never been pooped. You can see some brown spots. There's one over there, which is where it was last week. They'll
Cool or what, Charlie? Look at it, there's all their eggs. Don't touch, Charlie, don't touch.
What you're going to notice is they're still warm.
Charlie.
This is as close to farm fresh as you can. I mean, this is it. So these are high protein, low cholesterol eggs. When you take this home and crack it, it's going to be a deep, rich red color, orange color, that is unlike anything that you'll get in a regular factory. All that stuff you saw, tell all your friends. When you get ready to plant your spring garden, this is where you want to come for your compost and your castings. If you have questions, we'd be happy to answer for you. Sure.
To how the worms work, we also have a term. Just to warn you guys, it does smell. I no longer smell it because I'm here every day, but if you're not one to like smells, they do smell a lot. So this is where we do our breeding for them, or not breeding, they're feeding for them. So how we do it is we set each tray, we put about 6,000 larvae in each tray, and then we go through feeding of about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we harvest them, and then they go back in there if they're pupating. If not, we feed them to the chickens, we freeze them, or we sell them. So these are what we call our harvested ones. These are just waiting to dry. As you'll see, there's a bunch of them in here, as well as the food waste and brewer's waste. You can just stick your hand in there.
Wait, this one?
Yeah, whichever one. They all have larvae in them. And so they get to about that size. It's actually on the smaller end for what we usually go for. We found that they do really well with those as well. So what we do with that is they are usually in the stage of like this tan color.
I don't like them, but they're cool.
They're trying to be adults, they turn black.
Charlie.
And so that's why we have these biopods. We set them the same. Lots to go is kind of a small space, so if that makes you uncomfortable.
What's the difference between a soldier fly and like a housefly?
Houseflies are a lot smaller and they produce the maggots.
Oh, okay.
The soldier flies, you'll see, they're way bigger.
They're way better.
All right, watch out, sweeties. I'm gonna get in there.
You guys,
Listen. All right, hopefully this stays open. Okay. So you guys can kind of pile in if you'd like. It's pretty warm in here, so.
go ahead.
So what you're smelling when you do that is the chicken food. We put the chicken food in here. So what happens is when we harvest, we get the pre-pupa and we put them in this dark part of the cage. And so in here you'll notice there's all these hard shells of what once was the pupa. After that, it slowly fills up. You want to touch everything, don't you?
They do.
It slowly fills up. We harvest that and then we grind it up and put it on our worms as well. But they need this dark part so that they crawl out. And when they crawl out, there's a little slit in there. They see the light and they fly out and then they come into here.
There's a spider on the other side of the cage.
Yeah, there's a lot of spiders in here. The spiders really do well with our larvae and stuff.
Cool carrots. Yeah, there's one.
Don't touch those.
Purple.
There's some big, huge veggies and salads, huh?
We're growing.
I know, that's all stuff that we're growing in our garden. Are you gonna be excited to harvest it? Okay, back up.
I love the small carrots.
All right, you got our worms?
Wait, that's all worms?
That's a 30-pound bag of
Here, there's a worm in here. I don't want.
Okay, so we just got home from the Arizona worm farm where we did our tour, and we just bought a bag of worms, red crawlers. And so there's adult worms in here, there's juvenile worms, and then there's cocoons as well. So we are going to spread this out throughout our garden and let these guys get to work pooping everywhere and fertilizing our garden. So where are they? Let's see. Good stuff. Okay, we're gonna create a space right in the middle, okay? And this is where, ooh, look at this potato's growing really good.
Yay!
That one's sprouting really good. So anyways, we're gonna put the worms right here in the middle and then cover it again. Okay. And that way they can move, they'll make their way around. So all we have to do is put,
oh, found one. Over here.
Put it in the middle. You gotta make sure we get a lot of them in there.
Okay. I feel one. Oh, gosh.
Good. Nope, it's okay. Leave them because we're just gonna cover them and they'll make their way around.
Duh.
Oh, my shadow's ruining the.
There. Oh, they're huge.
All right, last handful, Char. And now let's cover them back up.
Okay.
We don't want the chickens getting them. Cover them up and they will make their way to where they want to go throughout the
Look at
garden.
this potato.
I know. All right.
Let's put them in the garden.
Okay, we got them all in the garden. Can't see them because they're already making their way down. We covered them. Get to work, Mr. Wormy. Okay, not sure if this is gonna work, but we're gonna try it. We just put the worms in our garden beds, but I want to figure out the best way to put food in the garden beds for the worms. And I don't have boxes right now or anything else to really use to make for their food, to keep the food in. So I found a Gatorade bottle. I did not drill any holes or anything in it. I'm just going to leave the top open. And I put in here a bunch of, we have some salad that's going bad. So I put some leaves, some tomatoes, some cucumbers, all of that. And then also, this is our compost bucket that we fill up and then we take out to our compost pile in the backyard. So I just tore up some egg cartons, and then we also have coffee grinds and eggshells and stuff in here. So I put all of that into here, and I am just gonna go and put this in the garden upside down so the worms can make their way through here, eat, and then just go right back out. So it's gonna be interesting to test it, check on it in a few days and see if they're actually eating it. All right, so I just dug a little hole, put it upside down so that way they can go make their way in from underneath, and then we'll just keep checking it to see if we find any worms in there eating any of that and see what happens. If they actually go and make their way to it and eat that food and then go back throughout the garden, that would be a really cheap, easy fix. I mean, it doesn't look cute, but oh well. All right, so our little wheelbarrow right here, we've got some potatoes growing really good. Mikayla, you want to dig around and see if you can find any of our worms?
Yeah. Can I start right here?
Sure. Just be careful so you don't disrupt any of the other stuff growing in here. Oh, you got one. Ah! They're getting big. Okay.
Whoa.
Put it back in
It's
there.
pooping.
Ew, yeah, that's the castings. Leave it. Ew. Okay, bury it back. Cover it back up. All right, so the potatoes are doing good, and then we've got some herbs that are growing over here. And we've got our green onions growing and some lettuce, but these ones over here we've just been letting the chickens have, so they like it. This bed is doing really good. We have tons of carrots growing, and then we've got some kale growing in the middle, more colorful carrots, and then we have a ton of garlic growing. So we really are happy with this garden bed right here and how awesome it's doing. We've actually already harvested a lot of our carrots, and they're really sweet and juicy and plump and amazing. We've got some sunflowers that are coming up. We've also got a ton of pumpkin. And then we have cantaloupe that are just sprouting. And then over here, you can barely see them, but we also have watermelon starting to grow. We have corn and zucchini over here on this side.
That's it, everybody. Thank you for watching the video of our Arizona worm farm tour. Hope you liked it. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this with your friends. And go check out the Arizona worm farm for yourself. Link in the description. Bye.